Hello, I'm Joe Hinkle. I created the Exact Transition Library for Corona SDK. What the Exact Transition Library does is allows you to granularly control the Corona transition library. So typically when you run your transition library with Corona, you transition.to, and it's just a one-off event that uses a timer to play your animation. So here I have three examples of dots moving across the screen. And you can see this just fires once and it just does your entire transition. So what my eTransition library or Exact Transition library does is allows you to set how far into the transition your animation will render at. So you can see here I can use this slider to input how many milliseconds into the transition I want to render at. And this is just replicating what you would do with code. Here you can see here's a transition that has two iterations. When you run through your transition at up to 500 milliseconds, that's the end of the transition. But since you specify two iterations, it will start over and play again and then stop, right? And then you also have the ability with the eTransition library to do a backwards iteration. So not only after 500 will it stop, or you can tell it to do two iterations in the future iteration future. You can have it so if you put in a negative number, so if you have negative milliseconds, you can have that proceed to do another transition backwards. Or you can just leave that out and have it so it just mins out and doesn't do anything. Let me show you what the code sort of looks like. I have another example that you might appreciate. Here you can see what the code looks like. You just say eTransition set, and just like your normal transition.to, you would give it the object you want to transition, the time you want it to take, an easing function, and then any parameters you want to change on the object. And for instance, here I have iteration set to -1, so that's going to have it loop indefinitely. You have to set another set of parameters, and that's the starting position you want it to start the interpolation from. So here it's going to start from the left side of the screen and go to the right side of the screen. And you can see every time I click, my time elapsed, I'm just going to set it to a new amount. And these are just one-off. Every time I click, it's just a firing of the function that you see on the screen. And so you see here, you can actually control where you want your ball to be positioned using Corona's transition format. So I hope you guys find this useful. I found it useful for a project I was doing where I needed to make a replay system that had a progress bar that you could scrub through and seek and go back in time and forward in time. So maybe you guys can use this for something that you got to do.